Hi, you're watching Floyd Steinberg's YouTube channel. This is the Zeptocore. You can think of this as a sample live looper / manipulation device, and its main purpose is creating beats and loops live. I bought this DIY kit a year ago and then I managed to totally muck up the build process. But last week I finally had some time to repair this, so today here it is in all its glory. So if you think this is interesting, please join me in this video. Here we go. If you order the DIY kit, here's what you'll get. A PCB that already has all the difficult SMD stuff soldered on. A Raspberry Pi 2040 MPU. A battery compartment. Some pin headers. 2 batteries. A mini speaker and 3 encoders and caps. Now, assembling this should be totally straightforward, but yet I managed to muck this up by accidentally starting on page 4 of the excellent build instructions. And thus, I connected the battery case first. And instead of desoldering it after noticing my mistake, I tried to add the encoders and the headers, which of course didn't work great, and I ended up with a Zeptocore that had slanted encoders and several loose connections. And this was 1 year ago now, and I had a lot of videos in the pipeline, so I decided just to file this for the moment and correct my mistakes later. And then the Zeptocore sat on my shelf, a daily reminder of my shame and guilt. So now, in April of 25, I finally desoldered the battery compartment and fixed all the connections. Desoldering isn't my favorite thing to do, and using a desoldering pump didn't work that great as well, but pulling the connections while applying heat 1 inch after the other, it kind of worked. So here it is, the Zeptocore. I installed the latest firmware using the tool on the webpage. You can think of this as a real-time sample remix machine. The idea is to chop up a sample using the web tool first and then live remix that sample while it is playing on the Zeptocore. For this, you can use various techniques like effects, retriggering, jumping, and much more. Once you turn on the Zeptocore, the first sample loop and the first bank will start playing. The first row of buttons contains functions, while the next 4 rows of buttons are used for triggering or selecting stuff. The 3 encoders can be used for setting tempo and pitch and filter cutoff frequency and other things. Let's take a look. The most basic thing you can do is to trigger one of the 16 slices of a sample. Just press one of the 16 action buttons to do that. Retriggering samples works by holding one button and then pressing another button. The sample slice belonging to the button you're holding will be retriggered in a random style. Zeptocore can work in 3 different modes: jump, mash and bass. Jump mode is what we're looking at the moment, and pressing buttons will trigger sample slices. You can activate this by pressing A and B. Press A and C to activate mash mode. In mash mode, you can turn on or off effects and change the effect parameters by holding down one button and turning the encoders. Press A and D for bass mode. In this mode, you can press the buttons to play a bass sound. In order to understand what Zeptocore is doing more clearly, I load a very simple drum loop using the web interface. As you can see, this tool already chops up your sample and determines the roles of the sample slices like bass drum, hi-hat, snare drum, and so on. You can select one shot or loop play here, and we'll use the latter here. You can now download the processed sample as a zip file. You then have to extract that file and rename the folder bank1 to a number that's not currently in use on your Zeptocore's SD card. Then copy that extracted folder to the SD card and put it into the Zeptocore and turn it on. Then hold the B button and enter the number you gave that folder, in this example 5, and then press the sample number, in this example 1. My simple loop starts playing back now. I can now press the keys and play the bass drum, the snare drum, the hi-hat, and so on. Pressing A and turning the knobs will change tempo, pitch, and volume. Pressing keys simultaneously retriggers samples. Hold down the Start button and the End button and press a third button to create a loop between these 2 points in your sample. Hold down the B button and turn the first knob to randomize your sequence. Hold down the B button and turn the second knob to perform filter sweeps. You can also record sequences. Press the C and D button to do that. Playing the first note will start recording. The last note you record marks the end of the sequence and will not be played back. Press C and D again to stop recording. You can quantize your recordings by holding down C and turning the third knob. Hold D and turn the first encoder for random jumps. Hold D and turn the second encoder for random effects. There's also a new mode named kick layering, which will trigger the bass drum note you just selected each time a sample the Zeptocore's identified as a bass drum sample is played, to add that extra bass punch to your loops. Hold down A and D and press the number of the bass drum sample you'd like to hear for this mode. Zeptocore can also receive MIDI through its clock input. Press 13, 10, 11, 16 to activate this. And one last thing I want to show you is that you can randomize a sequence by pressing 6, 7, 10, 11. If you press 10, 11, 15, 14 on top of that, Zeptocore will continuously come up with new random sequences. There are more of these cheat codes. For example, pressing 4, 7, 10, 13 will play back only kick drums. Well, this concludes my overview on the Zeptocore. For more information, please refer to the excellent online manual. Yeah, and that's it for today. The Zeptocore, a fun little gadget that in my opinion really would have benefited from even a small screen, because learning all those button combos is kind of complicated. If you want to try building one yourself, links are in this video's description. You can also buy this assembled. Price is around $100 if I remember correctly. By the way, making videos like this is time consuming and expensive, so if you think this was helpful or interesting or entertaining, and if you ever consider supporting this channel financially, this might be the right time. You can do so on Patreon with a one-time donation using the super thanks button under this video, or by becoming a channel member using the join button under this video. And of course you can also stream my music on Spotify or iTunes, links are in this video's description. As always, thanks for watching and see you again very soon. Bye bye.